The case against Nick Reiner is moving forward, but the picture remains incomplete. A high-profile homicide investigation marked by devastating loss, a fractured timeline, and more questions than answers.
This is a devastating tragedy that has befallen the Reiner family. We all recognize that. Our hearts go out to the entire Reiner family. There are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case. These need to be thoroughly but very carefully dealt with and examined and looked at and analyzed. We ask that during this process you allow the system to move forward in the way that it was designed to move forward. Not with a rush to judgment, not with jumping to conclusions, but with restraint and with dignity and with the respect that this system and this process deserves and that the family deserves. So with that, we are set for January 7th for an arraignment. That's the next court date. And that's all I have to say at this point. There may be more at some other point, but today we're going to rest on where we stand procedurally, which is this was a continuance of an arraignment. Nothing happened today substantively. We'll be back for an arraignment in the same department on the 7th of January. We'll see you then.
On Sunday, December 14th, Hollywood legend Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele Singer Reiner, were found dead inside their Brentwood, California home. By Tuesday, their 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner, had been formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors have also alleged special circumstances, a designation that could expose him to life in prison without parole or the death penalty if convicted. As of now, the public record reveals a grim sequence of events, but not a complete narrative.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson, along with Caleb Mason and Elizabeth Little, and Mortimer Jackson, going on behalf of Mr. Reiner, who's currently present in court in custody.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. He'll be bailing for the people.
Jonathan Chung for the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, how would you like to proceed today?
Your Honor, if we could, I would like to ask for a continuance of the arraignment. I want to get it complete at this juncture. It's too early. We've coordinated with counsel from the DA's office, and January 7th, with the court's permission, will be a convenient date for us to come back for potential arraignment.
Thank you. At this time, I'll take a waiver, speedy arraignment waiver from your client.
Thank you.
Mr. Reiner, you have a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy arraignment. Your counsel is requesting that your arraignment be continued to January 7, 2026. Do you waive your right to a speedy arraignment so that your arraignment can be heard on January 7, 2026? And does counsel join in the waiver?
I join, Your Honor.
The court finds that the defendant has made a knowing and intelligent waiver of his right to a speedy arraignment, and that his counsel joins in that waiver. Matter set January 7, 2026 for arraignment in this department. Bail to stand at no bail. Anything further on that case?
Not by the defense, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
According to Los Angeles police, Rob and Michele Reiner were found deceased inside the master bedroom of their home on Sunday afternoon, shortly after 3:30 p.m. Medical examiner records later confirmed both died from multiple sharp force injuries, and their deaths were ruled homicides. The discovery, authorities say, began with a missed appointment. A massage therapist arrived at the Reiner residence for a scheduled session, but received no response at the gate. Concerned, the therapist contacted the couple's daughter, Romy Reiner. Romy arrived at the house with a roommate and entered to look for her parents. According to a family associate who spoke on condition of anonymity, Romy first discovered her father's body in the bedroom and ran outside screaming, prompting her roommate to call 911. Only later did she learn that her mother's body was also in the same area of the home. First responders searched the residence to determine whether there were additional victims or suspects. They found none. Within hours, investigators began focusing on the couple's younger son, Nick Reiner, who was known to live in a guest house on the property. Assistant Los Angeles Police Chief Dominic Choi later told the city's police commission that information developed during the early stages of the investigation led detectives to view Nick Reiner as a person of interest. What that information was and how it connects him to the killings has not yet been publicly disclosed. Nick Reiner was located later that night, not at the Brentwood home, but near the University of Southern California campus, roughly 15 miles away. He was arrested around 9:15 p.m. without incident by LAPD officers working alongside a U.S. Marshals task force. Newly released surveillance footage offers one of the few publicly visible snapshots of Nick Reiner's movements before his arrest. Video from an Arco gas station near Exposition Park shows Reiner entering the convenience store around 8:20 p.m. Sunday evening. He is seen wearing a striped jacket, a baseball cap, and carrying a red backpack. Inside the store, he appears visibly nervous, glancing behind him, fidgeting, and swaying in place before purchasing a blue sports drink with cash. Roughly an hour later, additional footage shows unmarked police vehicles surrounding him at a nearby intersection. Reiner immediately raises his hands and submits to arrest. What remains unclear is what happened in the hours, or even the day, before that moment. One of the most critical questions in the case remains unanswered. When were Rob and Michele Reiner killed? Prosecutors have alleged the stabbings occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, but law enforcement officials have acknowledged they do not yet have a precise time of death. The coroner's office continues to evaluate the evidence. This uncertainty complicates the emerging timeline. According to sources familiar with the investigation, Nick Reiner was at the Pierside Santa Monica Hotel sometime on Sunday. That stay reportedly occurred hours after an argument involving Nick and his parents at a Saturday holiday gathering hosted by Conan O'Brien. It is still unknown whether Reiner checked into the hotel before or after his parents were killed, a distinction that could prove central to the prosecution's case. Authorities have declined to comment on the hotel's role in the investigation. Nick Reiner appeared in court for the first time on Wednesday, December 17th, briefly and under heavy security. He entered the courtroom wearing a blue suicide prevention vest with his hands and feet shackled. He did not enter a plea. His attorney, high-profile criminal defense lawyer Alan Jackson, told the judge it was too early to proceed with arraignment. Reiner waived his right to a speedy arraignment, agreeing to delay the proceedings until January 7th. "Yes, Your Honor," Reiner said when asked if he understood the waiver. The hearing lasted only minutes. Outside the courthouse, Jackson urged the public and media not to rush to judgment, emphasizing that the case involves very complex and serious issues that require careful examination. He declined to take questions. Prosecutors have charged Reiner with 2 counts of first-degree murder, along with a special circumstance allegation for multiple homicides. If convicted, he could face life in prison without parole or the death penalty. The prosecution team, Habib Balian and Jonathan Chung, is known for handling high-profile and complex homicide cases. Balian previously led the prosecution of Robert Durst and worked to block the resentencing of the Menendez brothers. Chung has secured convictions in other major crimes cases across Los Angeles County. District Attorney Nathan Hochman has not yet announced whether his office will seek the death penalty, a decision that could take months. As the legal process unfolds, Rob and Michele Reiner's surviving children have asked for privacy and restraint. In a joint statement, siblings Jake and Romy Reiner described their loss as horrific and devastating, calling their parents not only caregivers, but our best friends. They asked that speculation surrounding the case be tempered with compassion and humanity, and that their parents be remembered for the lives they lived, not the way they died. Friends and colleagues echoed that sentiment. Tributes poured in from across Hollywood, including from longtime collaborators who described Rob Reiner as generous, kind, and deeply committed to his family. Nick Reiner's past struggles with addiction and mental health are well documented by Reiner himself. Over the years, he spoke openly about substance abuse, homelessness, and relapse. He collaborated with his father on the 2015 film Being Charlie, a project loosely inspired by his experiences. In interviews, both father and son described the film as an attempt at healing. Family sources told People magazine that Rob and Michele Reiner had long viewed their son as self-destructive but not violent, a distinction that makes the alleged crime all the more shocking to those who knew them. None of that history, however, answers the central legal question now before the court. What comes next? As of now, authorities have not revealed the alleged murder weapon, any forensic evidence tying Nick Reiner to the scene, a motive for the killings, a definitive time of death. Those details are expected to emerge, if they exist, as the case moves toward arraignment and potential trial. For now, the investigation remains active, the timeline incomplete, and the courtroom proceedings paused until January. What is certain is that one of Hollywood's most celebrated families has been irrevocably altered, and the justice system is only beginning to determine what happened behind the closed doors of a Brentwood home.